Hey Joe, so we have a question from Ali, and Ali asks, "My company, it's on a tight budget, and whenever I talk about security and extra layers of compliance and the costs associated with it, I get eyes rolling, I get pushback, I get looked at like I'm just a little paranoid, and so I'm trying to make my teams understand that it's not a problem till it's a problem. But how do I start to get my leadership to really understand why security is so important?"
Afternoon or evening, and welcome to Runtime Regret. Thank you so much, Ali, for the question. It's always an interesting question. So, how do you get a company to pay for security? And I think, how do you get a company to pay for anything? Part of it is the history of the company, the market you're in. I don't think I know what market you're in, but at the end of the day, there's a couple of things. Number one, if you're in a regulated industry, think healthcare, financial services, it's a heck of a lot easier. Actually, I wish I knew where you were, but if you are in healthcare or financial services, it is really usually somewhat easier to get a lot of money for security because you're regulated, and the regulators are going to come in and they're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions that are really going to make sure that you've got security policies and this, that, and the other thing. Based upon the fact that you're even asking the question, I'm going to make an assumption that you are in an unregulated industry, and that whole are you getting questions constantly on, like, hey, we don't want to spend more on security. It's very, very challenging until the day there is an incident. It's very, very challenging to make people understand what the investment in security actually is. And until they actually go through some kind of incident, and if they haven't gone through an incident in their life and they're controlling the purse strings of the company, you're going to have to show them the amount of threats that are going on in your organization on a daily basis. So let's talk about what that looks like. I think the last show I probably was not specific enough, but let's talk about what that is. Every single day you are getting a significant number. If you're a mid-sized or large-sized company, there are companies out there that literally just spray. They're looking for specific types of servers. They're looking for specific application stacks if they can be detected, and they're basically just spraying inquiries and requests out to different companies to see if they can figure out, like, are you running this web server? Are you running this app server? Blah, 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 blah. And they're just inundating you for no other reason than to figure out what you're running. So if you're running an ancient library, or you're running something else that is exposed, that they can, there's a lot of things out there that if you haven't patched appropriately or you haven't done the appropriate thing, they're looking for. Most of those requests, those dummy requests, you can kind of tell that they're hackers. In many cases, there are places or services that will tell you, you denied or you offset X number of invasive inquiries within your organization or your domain at this given point in time. You stopped this type of traffic, whatever it happens to be. You already likely have a massive number of security items at the output, firewalls, other distributed denial of service attack detection devices. Publish those metrics. Every month you should have a report that goes out and publishes the good work that you do. The problem with security is that you're blocking all the gates and you're making sure nobody gets in, but nobody actually sees what you're doing on a day-to-day basis unless you actually boast about it. So you need to create the security newsletter, and maybe it's not a newsletter, maybe it's an email, maybe it's something, but it can't just go to other folks in technology. It's got to go to the business, and you have to say, hey, on Thursday last week we had 100 100,000 requests that we were able to deny of hackers attempting to come into us. And the numbers are crazy because they're all automated and they're all bots at this point in time. But the biggest point is, if they don't see it and they don't know about it, they don't think it's really going on, and therefore they're not going to fund you to make sure that nothing horrible happens. And the problem is, if something really bad happens, so I mean, we're talking a major hack, a security breach, you lose data, especially if it's financial data or if it's PII. You know, if you're a small mid-sized company, or you're somebody who's just getting started, this is going to do a lot of damage to the bottom line. They're going to, you know, whether it's fines or you're going to have to, if you're going to have to take a lot of corrective action. God knows what the heck it is. But at the end of the day, you're going to be paying a lot more money for one screw up in the security area than you would have been in the first place if you would have just actually stopped the entire attack from happening. So a couple of things. Number one, go out, collect real metrics on the threat landscape, environment, and what you're already blocking. You should have those metrics today. If you don't, please make those metrics. Number two, make it a cadence. Do not do this one and done. This is a monthly report that needs to go out, and it needs to go out to the individuals that are on your business side, non-IT folks, to make them understand the threat landscape, the different places that you are blocking intrusion or fraud from actually happening within your company, and publish those metrics, and make sure that you book time with them. Don't just send the email, because they're going to say, oh, it's the email from IT on security, and they're going to just, you know, not pay any attention to it. Make sure that you figure out how to get time with them, even if it's 15 minutes a month, and sit down and say, we, you know, stopped X number of threats. And every single time there's a major attack that's in the news, if you successfully already had software that was blocking that threat, that is an awesome time to say, oh yes, we were attacked by that same exact threat. Here's the logs, here's the transactions, here's the effectiveness of what we had already put in place. And oh, we could be like that company or this company or that company that's in the news this week for screwing stuff up. And there's always something that's either going on from a security perspective or a patching perspective or an outage perspective that shows the good work that IT people are doing, that usually just kind of gets pushed aside because business people typically are not that interested in having these discussions. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you've got these metrics within your organization. Please spend the time, make the report pretty, because they're going to pay more attention to it. Make sure you get at least 15 minutes face-to-face or on Zoom to make them actually listen to the number of potential threats that you've got coming at you from a security perspective. And then hopefully, based upon that visibility and transparency that you're providing, you're going to get a massive uplift, or at least understanding, in why you continue to ask for more money when it comes to security. The only other thing that I'll add on top of it, and I probably should have put this in the middle, is very simple. You know, over the years, different threats creep up. So every year there's a new, or every couple of months, there's a new threat that's very public. It's in the marketplace. Sometimes they name them, whatever it is. If you've got a track record of blocking them historically, put the timeline out there, because it's kind of important to people to also, it's also important to remind people that the threats are always changing. So if you're not always investing and the threat landscape is always changing, they need to understand this is an ongoing investment. This is a cost of doing business if you have anything that requires the internet. So it's just something that they just have to understand a lot better than they probably do now, because you probably haven't put metrics in front of them and made them read them before. So hope this was helpful. I hope that I provided some information, and thank you so much for the question. I do really appreciate it. And Christine, thanks again for lining all this stuff up for me. It's great. Take care, everyone. Hey GoPro, stop filming. Hey GoPro, stop recording.